Do you believe in Joe Hendry? If you don't, then you should. Joe Hendry has taken NXT by storm, and the past few NXT shows have been built around him. It's crazy to think that a TNA star did that. If it hasn't been clear already, Joe will stick around WWE for the foreseeable future, and WWE will utilize his potential to the maximum, as he has proven to be a major success when it comes to social media numbers. I want to see more of Joe Hendry on WWE programming, and there are a few superstars who I believe would make a great feud with Joe. So today, let's see who should feud with Joe Hendry in WWE right here on JR Slobberknocker. Let's get right into it. Trick Williams. If the recent episode of NXT has shown us anything, it is that Joe would be feuding with Gallus. While that could very well end up being good, the man I want to see go up against Joe in NXT is Trick Williams. Nobody was expecting Trick Williams to lose the NXT title to Ethan Page, but I feel like Trick would be winning back the championship. If he does, Joe Hendry should immediately be inserted into the NXT title picture as Joe's popularity warrants it. Imagine how great the feud could have been between the two. Trick is not only the most over superstar in NXT, but he's one of the most over superstars in the entire company. However, Joe has become one of the major highlights of NXT in a short amount of time. You cannot deny that fans are tuning into NXT just to see Joe. Yes, both wrestlers are babyfaces, but it would make for a great showdown. Both men rose to the top organically, and it's hard to root against either of them. It would be stupid not to do this match this year, and it should main event at NXT PLE. The hottest TNA superstar going up against the biggest NXT star. That's how you make NXT even more special. LA Knight. Of course this needs to happen. While Joe still may have some time left on his current TNA contract, I feel WWE would be signing him up pretty quickly once his TNA contract expires. There still might be a major possibility of Joe showing up on the main roster while remaining a TNA talent. If that happens, Joe should cross paths with the megastar. You may not know this, but LA Knight and Joe Hendry have feuded in TNA. Things are totally different today. Both men are performing at the highest level, and both men have a massive following among the pro wrestling fan base. Both Knight and Joe are similar in many ways. They are excellent on the mic, and that's what makes them special in the first place. They may not be a Seth Rollins or AJ Styles inside the squared circle, but they are good enough to get the job done and put on a decent match. The segments and the promos between the two would be worth watching, and it would be interesting to see who would get the upper hand. The crowd for this potential match would be on fire. Let's hope this happens by the time we hit 2025. The star Knight's currently feuding with would also make a great opponent for Joe. Logan Paul. You don't have to like the guy, but you have to admit that Logan Paul has become one of the most entertaining performers to watch in the industry today. Every time Paul is in the ring, you can expect him to give 100%, and his matches end up being great for the most part. Just look at his performances against the likes of Seth Rollins, Ricochet, Roman Reigns, and Cody Rhodes. All of those matches were fantastic, and his match against LA Knight for the US Championship is going to be a banger as well. Just like Knight, Joe seems like the right guy to feud with Paul. If you've been keeping up with Joe's career, you must be aware of all the songs he has made for his opponents. While some of them may be cringe, many of them absolutely cooked his opponents. Just see how Joe absolutely demolished Top Dollar, now known as AJ Francis. Now imagine Joe making a song about Logan Paul. Considering everything Paul has done outside the ring, Joe could burn Paul to the ground with a song he could potentially make. Logan Paul versus Joe Hendry is the kind of feud that would be perfect for either the Intercontinental title or the US title. This feud would bring in major social media numbers. Drew McIntyre. Just like LA Knight, Drew McIntyre is quite familiar with Joe Hendry. Apart from both being from Scotland, Drew and Joe have feuded with each other in the independent circuit. After being released from WWE in 2014, Drew returned to Glasgow's Insane Championship Wrestling. Drew was hell-bent on turning things around for his career, and the independent circuit was providing him with fresh opportunities to rebuild it. On the other side, Joe Hendry was working hard to make a name for himself. Both men met face-to-face for the very first time in 2015. While they only faced each other once in Insane Championship Wrestling, the two had a much longer rivalry in What Culture Pro Wrestling. The two are at the top of their game right now. Drew is performing on another level right now. His feud with CM Punk has brought out the best in him, and he is at his best when someone gets under his skin. Joe Hendry is a guy who can do just that. Both Drew and Joe have spoken positively about each other in interviews, so you can expect great chemistry if they end up locking horns in the future. John Cena. With the GOAT announcing his retirement tour, many have started to throw out potential names that should face Cena next year. The list of potential opponents is endless, so we might as well add Joe Hendry to it as well. Believe it or not, Joe Hendry has some history with John Cena. Hendry recently revealed that John Cena called him when he was just 15 years old. Can you believe that? Cena was the first ever pro wrestler that Joe ever talked to. Joe appeared on Talk is Jericho, and he expressed his desire to face Cena, and he believes that a match with Cena is possible. I really, with my whole heart, 100% believe that's going to happen. And I don't just think it's like the universe is going to give it to me. It's my job to make that the most compelling story possible for John Cena. A short program between the two could be a lot better than the one Cena had with Austin Theory. I would pay a lot to see Cena rip Joe apart in a promo segment. That could be extremely entertaining, and if Joe ends up in WWE next year, a win over Cena would be great to establish Joe as an even more credible star than he already is. So do you guys believe in Joe Hendry? Who do you guys want to see feud with Joe Hendry? Let us know in the comments below, and you might also want to check out our other awesome videos on the channel. Make sure to subscribe to JR Slobberknocker for more.